Imagine this, on day 1, you couldn't play a single note on the bass. By day 17, you're already jamming through full songs, and now, just 3 months later, you're laying down tracks that sound like this. And no, you're not a prodigy. In fact, your last music teacher told you that your ears were dead, but then you discovered a method, one that helped you learn more about music in 90 days than an entire semester of expensive music school. Now, this isn't magic. It's just a system built around Ultralearning, a strategy developed by Scott Young to master complex skills in record time. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to use that system to fast track your progress on any instrument. In this video, you'll learn why most students stay stuck for years, the 9-step Ultralearning method that accelerates real-world progress, and how to design your own music learning plan that actually works. Now, if you've ever felt frustrated by slow practice routines, or you're just starting and feel a little bit overwhelmed, this might completely change how you learn music. And if you want to build your own plan, I've put together a free Ultralearning guide. It'll walk you through each step, plus give you an AI prompt to help you customize your practice based on your goals. And you can grab it through the link in the description and start building your system today. Now, before we dive into the tactics, take a moment to reflect. Answer this question for me. Where in your musical journey are you letting inconsistency hold you back? Now, I encourage you to pause right now and write that down. That single reflection might be a major unlock for you, because Ultralearning isn't about natural talent. It's about strategic execution, and step 1 is to start at the top. Now, before you touch the instrument, you map your terrain. Most musicians dive in blind, grabbing random YouTube lessons, jumping between techniques, and hoping something sticks. But Ultralearning begins with meta-learning, learning how to learn before learning what to play. Now, let's say you want to learn bass, and instead of practicing scales on day 1, you spend the first 3 days doing research. You interview a few local gigging bass players. You research bass curriculum from sites like Berkeley University and books that cover the topic. You identify the fastest path to sounding great. Now, you realize that most online courses teach theory before groove, when really your first win comes from just locking into the rhythm. So you design your own learning path, and during your search, you find a book called The First 50 Songs You Should Play on Bass. And just like that, by day 17, you're not just running scales anymore, you're actually playing real music. Meta-learning gave you that shortcut, but even with the perfect roadmap, how do you stay on track without getting distracted or overwhelmed? It's important to highlight that progress isn't about practicing more. It's about practicing with focus. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin found that short, deep focus sessions beat long, distracted ones every time. So what's your setup? Maybe you turn off your phone and set a timer for 45 minutes, then you enter do not disturb mode and start with a clear objective. This is your focus ritual, but it goes even deeper. For technical exercises, you dive into intense, narrow focus. And for creativity, you loosen your grip. You enter a more relaxed, diffuse state. It's the difference between practicing scales and creating solos that make people feel something. Laser focus builds technique. Relaxed focus unlocks emotion. You combine both in one session, and your progress accelerates. Now, with a focus ritual in place, you're finally making progress that feels real. But here's the problem. What if you're focusing on the wrong kind of practice? So Ultralearning says, learn by doing the exact thing you want to master. This is directness, and it's where most beginners mess up. Let's say you want to perform live. Don't just study theory or run scales in isolation. Perform, even if it's messy. Pick 5 songs you love, learn them from start to finish. Hey, you can even revisit that first 50 songs you should play on bass book. When you hit a tricky section, isolate it, you master it. Then you return to the full piece. So according to Scott Young, when learning something new, it's essential to ask yourself where and how this knowledge will actually be applied. By learning music in context, your ears sharpen, your technique improves, and your confidence grows. But here's a catch. What happens when one skill keeps tripping you up, no matter how many songs you learn? Now we drill. Ultralearning teaches that you're only as strong as your weakest skill. Let's say your bass lines sound muddy. Turns out your string mutant technique is weak, so instead of ignoring it, you isolate it. You create a 15-minute daily drill, muting with the plucking hand, then with the fretting hand, and then both. 2 weeks later, the mud is gone, your tone is clean, and you didn't waste time fixing it accidentally inside of full songs. Think of your skills like classes contributing to your high school GPA. You might have an A+ in rhythm and melody, but if you got an F in technique, your total average drops. So you drill your weakness. You've attacked your weakest link, but even after you've improved a skill, can you actually remember it a week from now? This is where retrieval comes in. And instead of repeating a skill, you test yourself on it. So you play the scale in 3 positions, all from memory. You try to reconstruct it without looking. You take breaks and then try again. You even lie on the couch doing nothing, so your brain can replay the movements and lock it in. You picked up that trick a while back from a Huberman podcast. So now you're forcing your brain to work harder, creating what scientists call desirable difficulty, and it works. The scales you retrieve from memory stick. The ones you mindlessly repeated, they fade. Now you're retaining more than ever, but there's something else that you're missing. How do you know what you're getting wrong in the first place? So practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So if you're practicing mistakes, you're reinforcing them. Ultralearning emphasizes creating tight feedback loops. You record yourself, you listen back carefully, you get lessons or coaching when possible, and you ask, not just did I play it right, but what exactly went wrong and how do I fix it? This feedback loop reveals blind spots like inconsistent note length or poor dynamics. So suddenly your 3 out of 10 performance is exposed as a 1 out of 10. Ouch, that's painful, but it's powerful because now you know what to fix. Feedback gave you clarity, but once you've improved something, how do you make sure it stays fixed long term? So let's talk about spaced repetition. You don't just learn a song once and then move on. You log new techniques in a music practice journal. You review them 1 day later, then 3, then 7, and then 30. You reset the cycle if you stumble. So now you're working with your brain's natural forgetting curve, reinforcing things right before they fade. And not every piece needs a system, but the most valuable ones, the foundational skills, they deserve this kind of maintenance. Now, your growth isn't just fast, it is permanent, but knowledge isn't enough. How do you go from knowing what to play to feeling what to play? This is where intuition comes in. You stop asking, what's the next note? And you start asking, what feels right here? You explore, why does this groove work? What happens if I tweak the rhythm a bit? What emotions am I actually expressing here? You're not just memorizing scales anymore. You're understanding harmony, and you're starting to feel how chords connect to create emotion. This is the foundation of writing music that truly resonates with people. Now, one powerful way to build this intuition is with definement technique. So take a concept like walking bass lines and explain it to a total beginner. Then identify what you can't explain clearly. You fill in those gaps. The better you can teach a musical idea, the better you've actually learned it. You're developing intuition, so now it's time to stretch your creativity. What do you do when no tutorial can show you what to do next? Well, you break the rules on purpose. This is experimentation, and you try things like blending techniques from one genre over the drum grooves of another genre. You can also take techniques from one instrument and move them to another, or things that just, they might not work, but you just try to see what happens. Most of it will flop, but some of it will spark breakthroughs. Now you find your voice here, not by copying, but by remixing everything you've learned and putting it into your own expression. Experimentation keeps learning fun. It turns practice into play. And once you start doing that, you're no longer just practicing music, you're making it. So check this out. Everything that we just walked through, the plan, the strategy, the frustrations, and the breakthroughs, it wasn't just a hypothetical. That musician that we followed, that was me. The record that you heard at the beginning of the video, that was my very first track, recorded just 3 months into learning bass using the Ultralearning method. But I knew the system worked long before that, because on day 17, I was already playing a few full songs. Now, I'm not a prodigy, I don't have perfect pitch, and my music teacher in college did tell me that my ears were dead. But when I applied this system, that's when I finally started to grow as a musician on purpose, because Ultralearning isn't about having a gift, it's about having a strategy, and if I can do it, so can you. Whether you're just picking up an instrument or trying to break through years of stuck progress, this approach works. It puts the power back in your hands. Now, you don't need another year of guessing, you just need a map. And everything in this video showed you how to learn music faster. And that free Ultralearning guide will show you what to practice. It even includes an AI prompt that you can use to research faster and stay on track. I put the link in the description, so go grab the guide, try the prompt out, and start building your system today. I'll see you in the next video.